Yes, we are seeing how it is unfolding in the Premier League. Of course, that match between Liverpool and AFC Bournemouth said it all. And that is what it is when the Premier League is just in. And the rest of the games are coming. So, on this episode, we're talking about those games. I'm talking about Aston Villa, who will be at the Villa Park to welcome Newcastle United. And of course, it will be Brighton and Hove Albion who will take on Fulham. We'll see Sunderland newcomers take on West Ham United. And of course, Tottenham Hotspur will do battle Burnley, also newcomers. Wolverhampton Wanderers will play host to Pep Guardiola's Manchester City to get the season running. Don't forget the program is proudly sponsored by MaxBet, MEX, BET, Dorenji. MaxBet Dorenji is the site to go to and start winning. In fact, every day is a payday on MaxBet just for registering. There's a 300 naira waiting for you. Yes, you can also get a 100% of your first deposit. And there is an amazing live game option there, virtual games, and the payout is as swift as anything you can imagine. The site is user friendly. Just give it a test. I told you 300 naira is just there for free. If you can register, tell a friend to tell a friend, and you can get something big out of this one. Let's get into the matter when we're talking about some of these games. My name is Oji of Yada Dobudo. I won't be doing this alone. I will be flanked by two able-bodied, of course, regulars on the program. I'm talking about Bonfrey Joe and CI Zoro, who will be helping out with superb analysis and top-notch predictions that will enable you win big. Of course, what's the essence of the program? If not to give out those odds and predictions, pre-game analysis that will enhance and make you get off with the best decision of where to pitch your tent. After all, the saying goes, put your money where your mouth is. And that is what we will be doing on the program. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. It is the program Sports Preview on Bua Community Voice, proudly sponsored by MaxBet. My name is Oji of like I told you initially, and I am hanging out with Bonfrey Joe. I can't get that out of your handshake.
Yeah, this an Arsenal handshake is always a wonderful.
Arsenal we talked about before their game, but now we'll be focusing on Manchester City. But before we get into it, let me also welcome to the fold the man of Timber and Caleb. I. See that.
I and I be the man.
See, I Zoro. That's how we do it. And of course, the draw is ready to give you just the very best tips, betting tips for here, as for you to start winning big. After a miserable 2024-2025 season for Manchester City, the campaign ended with a successful fight to avoid relegation for City. Yes. We saw Wolves struggle for relegation. We saw City struggle in all folds and ends without Rodri. Just hoping to show the promise that they see what they can do. City have won the Premier League 10 times. And I want to tell you that this season is going to be a resurgence for Manchester City. In fact, I feel like Pep Guardiola is going to go into his Arsenal, not Arsenal FC. Bring out the best of his armory and start fighting from the get-go. And where can he show that in a game like this? The Club World Cup didn't go as planned for the Manchester side, and this is a time to start correcting. Wolves have failed to win a pre-season friendly when Victor Pereira is in charge. What are we expecting? Wolves, after a relegation struggle last season, good thing they stayed up, and now their very first league host test in the season is against a wounded Manchester City side. What are we expecting from this game?
This same Pereira was there when Manchester City beat Wolves one goal to nil. And then Manchester City, on the other hand, has been quite, shaking. If I'm to judge from last season and up until the Club World Cup, where Al Hilal beat them out of the whole competition. I think at this particular point, they would want to do a lot of restructure. Although I think they are going through a lot, with the financial fair play,
Financial fair play.
yes, and then a lot of other things that will deal with it. But then Manchester City has had a record of winning more of these opening matches when it comes to this, and they've always won with 2 goals and a goal. You understand? So, and then on the other hand, Wolves has always been on the struggling end, and then I think this particular time is for Wolves to hold on. If I'm to judge from last season, Manchester City conceded some goals, and then but they ended up even at conceding those goals, winning most of those matches. So I think Wolves should try to score, which is almost impossible if I'm still to judge from last season. But Manchester City has an upper hand.
Okay, upper hand for City, and let me also remind you there is an August course. Yes, an August course that is there for this Wolverhampton Wanderers side. They have won just one of their last 20 Premier League games in the month of August. Winning just one in their last 20 Premier League games in the month of August for a team is as low as anything you can imagine. Drawing 9 and losing 10 of those. So they know that it is going to be trying to break this curse, and starting of course with Man City. But there's still a lot of games to come in the month of August for them. Probably look out for what they can do. That is to tell you that since 2018 when they returned to Premier League, Wolves have struggled in the beginning of the season. So we'll see what happens because we know how it can be. What's your take?
I think for me, Wolves against City is a walkover for City.
Okay.
It's a walkover. It's a walkover in the park. Look at the preseason. What happened in the preseason against Wolves? In their last 8 games, they've not gotten a win. Seeing them getting 2 draws and losing 6, it's a big loss for a team like Wolves. And one thing you should understand that Wolves have not won Man City in their last 3 matches, their last 3 encounters. They've not been able to defeat Man City. And in 2010, no, 2006 to date, they played a total of 34 matches, and Wolves have managed to just get 11 wins, while Man City has 20 of them of that win.
So that puts of course City up ahead.
So the record says, history says itself that Man City has a better chance with Momus coming to from. It's going to show himself this season.
Of course, Mamush, of course, showing himself with Erling Haaland leading the pack for Manchester City. Let me also remind you that City, of course, brought over the left back Ryan Adliri from Wolverhampton Wanderers for 36 million euros as part of a third bid to reclaim the Premier League crown after going trophyless last season. Because we must also point out they finished the distant third and lost the FA Cup finals to Crystal Palace. And how they've started everything, to work things over for themselves and see what they can do about this one. Just like C.I. Brian pointed out, that 1-0 Wolves losing 1-0 away to Man City, it made sums up what we had to expect. But let me still remind you that Wolves lost 8 of their 11 Premier League home games as outsiders last season, winning 2 and drawing 1. And 2/3 of Wolves Premier League games last season produced over 2.5 total goals. Second only to Brighton, who got 71% of those, and that tells you what to expect. They are inside that shipping goals anytime, any game. Also, 6 of Man City's 8 Premier League away wins last season were by a 2+ goal margin. And I think in the game against Wolves is where, just like Dr. Tubari Mamusha and the rest, will be gearing up to start getting those goals for City. That is, if they don't want to go trophyless this season. Man City considered the opening goal in just 7 Premier League away games last season, but lost 5 of them, winning 1 and drawing 1. So that's where Zoro was talking about, conceding of those goals and saying they should try and score and see if that can change anything about what they are playing. We have Jürgen Strand Larsen, who was very much instrumental for Wolves in top flight, scoring 5 goals. We'll see what they can do in this one. Tijani Rangers, winning 10 of 13 competitive games, that he scored in AC Milan last season. But of course, that is not the same as Premier League. But we expect you to see what his contributions will be. And to just get into anything big. We'll be looking elsewhere for what the games will be bringing to talk about Spurs in the next analysis when they take on newcomers Burnley. Of course, we know that in the new Premier League season, it's going to be a David and Goliath kind of situation with these two UEFA Europa League winners and the Super Cup losers. I'm talking about Spurs. They take on the newly promoted Burnley. You know, when you look at this situation, you understand that Burnley will be like a situation where you buy a new fowl here in Africa. It will stand with one leg until after a while it can get settled. What are we expecting? You know, Tottenham is going against the side that they should beat anytime, any day. Thomas Frank have shown huge prospect with that result with the game that he played against Paris Saint-Germain. I think everyone who watched the game against PSG in the Super Cup after they were leading 2-0 before they lost via penalties after the game ended 2-2 will tell you that it's looking like a game that should not bother Burnley and that should not bother Spurs against Burnley at all. What are your takes?
I think the Tottenham side has a better upper hand in this match because history has it that in their last 12 encounters, Tottenham has not lost to Burnley.
Okay.
They've not in their last 12 encounters. That's at home. Tottenham, at the home of Tottenham, they've not lost at all. And Bournemouth on the other side have not won in their last 4 games against Tottenham. 2002 till date, these two sides has played a total of 26 matches. Tottenham has 17 wins, while Bournemouth has just 5. That's the Tottenham side has a upper hand in this. They have all what it takes to get a win in this thing. And considering what played out with them against Paris Saint-Germain, you see a Tottenham side that has the idea to score, but to win the match. But most times, let me not just say what happened in that match. That match was quite something. You saw a win. At the last minute, you lost everything.
Of course, we've seen teams that bottle up games, and when you do that against a very top side like Paris Saint-Germain, that were able to destroy an Inter Milan side in the final of the Champions League. Of course, a lot of persons will draw focus to what happened between PSG and Chelsea at the Club World Cup final. We all know how football is neither here nor there. No one knows where the biscuit will be cracking from, and just like a pendulum, you cannot tell where it will be swinging. Let's get your takes on as Spurs take on Burnley.
I think it's two-faced. Let's start here. Burnley has dominated 30 clean sheets out of 46 of
The championship.
their league matches last season in the championship. That says a lot, but you cannot compare the championship and the Premier League.
But a lot of persons still argue that the championship is even tougher than the Premier League.
But then,
Considering the fact that there's a lot of battle going on there, and of course, getting up to 100 plus points.
you guys,
That's last season is amazing for the Clarets.
and then most of their matches, they scored 70 minutes. And let's say 5 of their last matches they scored at 70 minutes and above. Now let's bring it down to Tottenham, where the Spurs has most of their opening home games they've actually scored 2 goals and a half. That's another plus. Now, why did I have to go through this route? I'm trying to say that Burnley and Liverpool and Tottenham have this similarity in terms of resilience. And then for that particular reason, it's going to be a difficult nut to crack. Spurs has dominated most of their league matches, winning 12 out of 18 of their head-to-heads with this same Burnley. But even with those head-to-heads as a history, Burnley came resilient on this particular season and have a high possibility of holding on to Tottenham and not allowing Tottenham to score more than 2 goals. If at all Tottenham is winning. Check what happened with Tottenham and PSG. Tottenham has this dominance, scoring at first, but they be able to hold on with another side that scores between 70 minutes and above. You get where I'm going to. So even with their head-to-heads and then their upper hands in almost everything, they need to have high level of technicality to hold on and win bowling.
Okay. Of course, technicalities will count. We know how it is for football, but let me still update you that they lost 3 players. Burnley, the Clarets had to let 3 of their key players go, but they made sure that they supplemented all of that by getting in 13 players to join the Foes as they look to win their opening game of the Premier League for the first time since the 2019-2020 season. They've lost 3 of the opening games, Burnley, just before now. So we're waiting to see what happened. But before we conclude, I just sneak into what's happening at Newcastle and then go to talk about the Maxwell Showmaker bet segment. Let me know if you saw the final between Spurs and Paris Saint-Germain. Who saw what was going on with Mohamed Kudus, the Ghanaian, is doing with that team. And I think he's adding lots and lots of confidence to that forward. But I feel like Thomas Frank will need to make a few more additions to complete that squad. But they are good to go. Of course, Brennan Johnson, we saw him last season giving all his best. But the absence of James Madison and Dejan Kulusevski is looking like it will be a huge void to fill up for Spurs in a game like this. But let's just touch the game between Aston Villa and Newcastle before we go to the Maxwell Showmaker bet segment, where Villa, were beating the UEFA Champions League qualification last season by Newcastle on goal difference alone. But Unai Emery's men have the chance, to show some revenge when they take on these side in the opening game of the new Premier League season for them. In fact, the failure to qualify for the Europa Premier Club competition is just something that hurts. We know how it can be when the season is starting. But I can tell you that Aston Villa and Newcastle are those 2 teams that you're looking at. They want to find their way in the Big 6. And I won't be surprised if any time in the future we'll have a Big 8. We started with the Big 2, the Big 4, and now we'll have the Big 6. So soon, while we're having the Big 8, adding the likes of Aston Villa and, of course, Newcastle to that number. What are we to expect, when these 2 great clubs will see what they can get? We know how strong Villa can be at home. What are we expecting?
I think I see a repeat of what happened in the last match in their last encounter in the Premier League last season, where it ended a 4-1. Villa getting the massive win, that 4-1 victory against the Newcastle side. And when you check, Newcastle have not won in their last 8 games. So Newcastle is finding it hard. They are finding it's difficult for them presently now. But while the Villa side, in their last 6, they've managed to get 3 wins, lost 1, and got 2 draws. That's a plus for them. While on the other side, the last 6 games for Newcastle, they've got 4 losses and 2 draws. It's something to tell. A team that you saw what happened last season, how Newcastle played. They played wonderfully well. The same goes to Villa. They played wonderfully well. But presently, after the pre-season matches, Newcastle have been finding it hard. Their last win was against Chelsea. That's when they won 2-0. That was the last win they got. After them, they've been struggling with draws. They lost today, they draw tomorrow. That's to tell you that the Newcastle side they are really suffering. And considering the fact that Isak,
the problem
with Isak wanting to leave, and you know what it means. And other players will be feeling, this guy is not playing for us. How do we manage to do this? The emotion is always there.
But never can tell. He can't get scored a hat-trick on the first game of the season. It's just football. So what are your takes?
How does he score a hat-trick when he has not resumed training?
He's part of the training. He's resumed training. He's training separately now from the team. But that's problematic.
That's problematic. That's what I mean. And then moving away from that, let's take their own stats here. Aston Villa has been able to show resilience. It was just a goal difference between them and Newcastle last season for them not to have gone to the Champions League. And then Aston Villa has won 21 home games across all competitions. with 15
they've been
wins.
unbeaten. They didn't win
Unbeaten,
more.
I beg your pardon. Unbeaten 21 times across all competitions in their home. 15 wins and about 6 draws. That's impressive. And then
You have to also
they've
winning
kept,
each of their last 8.
you get they've kept just 2 clean sheets in their last 11 home games. Villa has equally kept 2 clean sheets in their last 11 home games too. You get, which is another impressive one. Now, not to overlook the whole thing, Newcastle, on the other hand, judging from the previous, just like I said, has equally won their opening matches in the last 3 seasons. And then, just not to overlook them, they have scored more than once in only in only one of their last 7 Premier League away games.
Yeah, it's difficult to score away from home for Newcastle. And I feel that's what's going to haunt them, and that's why he's feeling like it's going to be a repeat of the last season where he ended 4-1 for Villa, because he's looking a little like Newcastle been shipping in the goals and not scoring as it should be. Of course, the second time in 3 seasons that these sides collide with the opening weekend, with Newcastle running out 5-1 winners at St. James's Park in August of 2023. That's an opening game. I think it can speak volumes. But it's been a different story at Villa Park, where the Magpies have lost on 5 of their last 6 Premier League visits, winning 1. It's going to be tough. But all the same, without wasting much time, let's just head straight up now, to talk about your predictions for the games for Saturday. Let's just take it now, one at a time. Aston Villa and Newcastle. Take us to
Aston Villa, Aston Villa straight through.
Okay, straight in Aston Villa.
I think it's a draw match.
Draw. That's the prediction. Remember, you can only take it to one place. It's www.mindbet.ng. That's where you have to take it. In fact, you can get 100% of your first deposit against a 300 now for grab just for registering. Let's get on it. Brighton will take on Fulham. What's your take?
I say go.
Go between Brighton and Fulham
Over 1.5.
over 1.5. Sunderland will take on West Ham United.
I say West Ham straight through.
West Ham straight win. What's
It's a
your
West
take?
Ham straight.
West Ham straight win also. Tottenham up against Burnley.
I say go.
Go. What's your take?
Tottenham against Burnley is a Tottenham win.
Okay, Tottenham Hotspur win. Over 200 up against Manchester City.
Manchester City to win with over 2.5.
Over 2.5 and a win.
It's an over 1.5 for me.
Over 1.5. Trying to play safe there. So let me drop my own 2 cents of prediction. So in fact today I'm predicting. First off, I go for Villa to win and both teams to score. That's in the game between Aston Villa and Newcastle. For the game between Brighton and Fulham, I'm going for both teams to score. So yeah, it's going to be go in my prediction there. Let me take you to Sunderland. Of course, newcomers are getting in that one against West Ham United. And I'm taking it up to tell you that looking at both teams to score in that game, trying to play safe. Of course, we know that they are not so much apart from each other. In that David and Goliath game between Spurs as a take on the Clarets, I'll be going for Spurs to win and under 2.5. Under 2.5 because I feel like Burnley would have to hold on their own defensively, but I'm seeing a situation where there will be a win from Tottenham squeezing it out, just something very little, and City to win without both teams scoring. I have a feeling that City will win, but they won't be conceding in that match against Wolves. Do you see that?
I see them winning and over 2.5. That's what I see.
Okay, I feel like they'll be scoring. Okay,
They'll be scoring
that's that about that. Of course, we've been riding all through. And that's how it's going to be on this platform, on Sports Preview on Google Community Voice. So I urge you all to subscribe, make sure that you share, turn on the notification button so that whenever videos like these and more comes your way, you can be able to see. Don't forget, you can just go check it out now. Just go now. I urge you to go. It's www.mindsmendarranging so you can start winning. Because we've given you now the odds, the chances to start winning. And there's a 300 naira to register and start winning for free. And also 100% of your first deposit. That is to say, if you deposit 10,000 naira, what you will see on your dashboard is 20,000 naira. Terms and conditions apply. Don't forget that betting is for 18 years and above. Remember to bet responsibly and with your spare money. Thank you very much, Bonfrey. And of course, Sia, it's amazing to have you. My name is Domino. saying adios.